Okie doke. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing a little something different here today. We're doing a little arena quick draft in the Bloomburrow universe. So we're gonna jump in and see how that goes. Really, I'm just doing this to test this new setup, and we might do some painting after this, some digital painting. We'll see how far we get in this draft. And why are we doing quick draft? Because it's cheaper than the regular premier draft. And also, I've been drafting a lot of Duskmorn lately, so they've rotated the quick draft format back to Bloomburrow. So we're going to see how that goes. I liked Bloomburrow. I don't think it's quite as balanced as Duskmorn, but it'll be fun to jump back in and see how we do and see how people like this content. Okay, so couple of housekeeping things. Let's see. I don't know if I have desktop audio coming through, so I'm gonna right quick, see if we can get that coming through. We'll do some audio output here and go like so. I don't really have the. I'm not even sure if this. If I've got the music on for this. Let's see. Yeah, I've got it pretty low. Turn up the master volume just a little bit. And let's see. The desktop audio is like not seeming to want to function here. Oh, maybe it's because. No. That's weird. Oh. This would be why. Okay. No, that's not it. That's not the one. Third time's a charm. Something? Anything? I think we might have to switch up our headset here to capture the audio that's coming through. I think this thing just doesn't want to cooperate, unfortunately. All right, let's do that real quick, and then we'll jump on in. So we have earned ourselves through some standard play enough golden coins to jump in on this draft. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get the. There we go. Okay. Still doesn't seem to be saying that this is coming through at all. So we might be having some technical difficulties here, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and jump in on this and see what happens. We have like a tiny, it's showing like a tiny little bit of music coming through. I can hear it okay on my end. And I don't know what the dealio is there, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and jump in on this draft and see what we see. Okay, so our first open, we get the Dream Dew Entrancer as our rare. We also see a Jolly Gerbil, so if we pick up a lot of gift cards, Jolly Gerbils could be pretty good. It's a Hamster Citizen. I do think a lot of the art in this set is pretty delightful. For the most part, I think it's a really fantastically designed set from like a visual perspective. From gameplay, it's a little bit tough because it's like green is pretty good, blue-green is okay. Basically, like blue-white is unplayable from my understanding. We see Flood into the Maw, or into the Flood Maw. which is, oh, I never noticed it has this little crab guy up here. That's kind of cool. See, a dire downdraft is okay removal. It's a little expensive. Clifftop Lookout is good. If we're specking on green, that's good. Pond Prophet is also nice because it's pretty flexible. And Frogs is good. The Dream Dew Entrancer is a good card. I don't know if it's worth taking first pick because it like immediately slots us into blue-green. So I think I might take the Clifftop Lookout here. Downwind Ambusher, although black is pretty good. Okay, so you can flash this guy in. He's a 4/2 Skunk Assassin. It's the only black card besides Scales of Shale in this pack. And the way that these bot drafts work, I don't know how they select what cards you're like. I don't know how they select cards. I don't know how the bots function, whether it's just some kind of like win percentage algorithm or something. I think I might actually take the Pond Prophet here and think about going green-blue. Maybe see if this Dream Dew Entrancer wheels. But maybe we take the Clifftop Lookout. That is a little bit more flexible because it's kind of just good in any archetype with green because it just gets you a little bit of ramp. Here we see Treetop Sentries, a Saver, which is okay removal. Thoughtstalker Warlock is kind of interesting. I don't know how good it is in draft, but the discard effect is kind of nice. Agate Assault is good. But in this pack, I mean, the Head of the Homestead is kind of a bomb. Can be good. It's a little bit expensive, and it really prefers a green-white rabbit sort of theme for your deck. Tough choice. I don't see anything fantastic here. We're probably not going Sinister Monolith, although it is good if we end up in bats. I think the Thoughtstalker Warlock is a little more flexible. We're going to spec on the Warlock and see if we get some more good green stuff, more good black stuff. It's probably not the Agate Blade Assassin. It's not a bad card, but it's kind of weird because it's a lizard, but it like synergizes more with the black-white bats theme. But we see a Patchwork Banner here, and I think that's better than the Hazel's Nocturne. And a second Clifftop Lookout would be nice, but we're going to take the Patchwork Banner. This is really flexible too, and I found that it does give you a little bit of extra ramp, so you can kind of push in some of that damage. And now we see a Long River Lurker, and maybe this is where we commit to Frogs, because the Long River Lurker is just a really strong card for flashing stuff in. Seasoned Warren Guard is okay, but we kind of... It's not like the card that would make you want to go into rabbits. Okay. Yeah, we probably go with the Long River Lurker and maybe keep an eye out for those frog cards that we might be wanting, such as Waterspout Warden is okay, but it's a nice way to get in a little bit of damage. It's a 3-drop. I think it's a little bit overcosted for that effect, but maybe that's because I've just been playing Duskmourn and the power creep is already making itself apparent. We see a Starlit Soothsayer, which gets you Surveil. I don't know that Surveil is that strong a mechanic in this set. We might just take the Hivespine Wolverine just because it is a little flexible. It's a nice top-end threat, and it gives you some of those interesting options. Like if we get a Innkeeper's Talent with this, like that's really strong. Here, it's like we could go Carrot Cake. Sky Skipper Duo is okay. And we kind of have, we're kind of specking on that sort of as an option, but I might just go with the Heaped Harvest here just for a little more ramp, and in case we end up with more of a food theme. Yeah, I'll go with the Heaped Harvest. There's probably some better cards I could have picked, but that's kind of where we're at. We see another Dire Downdraft. Top and bottom of Library, it's a little bit of a nice delay. It's an instant. We could take the Wear Down. But I'll take Wear Down just because, well, yeah, I'll take the Wear Down, I guess. There is some really good stuff that Wear Down can work with. We have a Shore Up here, but I think it's Pond Prophet without too much hesitation. This card is really good once you can blink it in and out. We also see a Bellowing Crier and a Flood into the Maw. Or into the Flood Maw. I keep mixing up how this functions. Okay, so return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. We have a Dazzling Denial as well. But I think we'll take the Bellowing Crier. Dazzling Denial came around pretty late, so we might be able to get something like that later. And then here, I guess I'll take the Sinister Monolith in case we end up in black-white or something, which is not very likely at this point. We already took a Wear Down. I don't think we want to be running 2 of those. I'll put the Pileated Provisioner in the sideboard here. And Hidden Grotto is just not very good. But I think we'll take it just in case. Technically speaking, I guess we could, if we're in blue, we could have cast that other one. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what we got here. In pack 2, we have whenever you expend 4, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Kind of interesting. We are pretty far from red. Eddie Merc Crab, I've seen do some work. Though we don't have... We've got 1 sorcery. We could take more if we get the Eddie Merc Crab just to reduce its cost. But I found that it enters tapped if it's not your turn, which means that you can't use it as a blocker. But when it enters, it taps 2 target creatures. So it's effectively blocking. You just don't get the removal from the block, right? So it's pretty good. And like ideally, you do want to play this on your opponent's turn to mess up their attacks. Or I guess you could play it on your own turn to get in some damage. Although the Splash Lasher puts a stun counter. I think Splash Lasher is probably just a better one, a better crab, given the theme that we're kind of going for. So I think we take that Splash Lasher. And I think that puts us pretty solidly in blue-green. Okay, so now we see a Sunshower Druid. And we didn't take a Waterspout Warden before, but maybe we will if that wheels. We see another Into the Flood Maw, which... kind of interesting, but I think we take the Sunshower Druid just because it's another thing that we can blink. Although right now the only blink effect we have really is the Long River Lurker, so we need to keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. Okay. Wix Patrol. Okay. 3 cards. Okay, so basically you're trying to get a kill off by having something really big in the graveyard, like a Huskburster Swarm. Kind of interesting. This one, the Mind Whisker is kind of interesting, but we have to get 7 or more cards in our graveyard. I don't know that this is great at doing that. But the Mind Whisker can be really annoying. There's also a Baker's Bane duo, which is pretty good. I think we'll take the Mind Whisker. I'm kind of interested in seeing how that works out. We have a second Mind Whisker. But again, we don't have very many ways to get stuff into the graveyard. I think we just take another Pawn Profit here for a little more card draw and something extra to bounce. That feels like the card to play. Okay. Second Pawn Profit. Now we really want stuff that can blink. Long River's Pull. Not fantastic. Spellgyre. Spellgyre. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. We have 3 counter spells. I think Dazzling Denial is the best one. We have... Oh, we didn't take the bird earlier, did we? So we don't have that. We have a 3-tree Root Weaver, which could be good for if we want to splash for something. And I think that's what we'll take here. It's also a decent blocker with 1/3. And now we have Runaway Together. And I think we kind of have to take that. We just don't have any ways to bounce stuff. So we'll take that Runaway Together. See another Bellowing Crier. Actually, Bellowing Crier is a way to get stuff into the graveyard if we are... I don't think we're splashing for the Thought Stalker, so we'll dump that. Because if we're thinking about how do we get this Mind Whisker to trigger, Bellowing Crier is a way we do that. So we'll take another one of those. We at least have some decent card draw on our creatures. And here, I guess I'll take a High Stride just as a little combat trick, maybe. There's a lot of potential for losing to flyers in this format. So we could take that. I think we will. It's like Pearl of Wisdom. We're not running any otters, I don't think. And the Eddie Merc Crab wheels, so we'll take it. Waterspout Warden also wheels. Yeah, this doesn't seem that great because it like comes down on turn 2 and then you're probably sitting there at least a few more turns before you can even activate this, and you can only do it once. Pretty weak effect. We'll take the Waterspout Warden here since we wheeled on those guys before. Now this is interesting. I think we'll just take the Dire Sight because we just have some black here that, you know, if we're in black, that's something. As long as you control a token. I don't have a lot of ways to make tokens, but we'll take the Druid with the Spade. Might of the Meek. Okay, pack number 3. Let's see some good stuff. And mostly white, a Star Charter. Power 3 or less. We actually have a lot of creatures with power 3 or less, so that's kind of interesting as a... We don't have a lot of ways to gain life, so... Unfortunately, it's probably too little too late. Baker's Bane Duo is probably what we want here. Light Shell Duo has prowess, is a Rat Otter. That's not very exciting to me. Caretaker's Talent. I mean, this card is good if we were in tokens, but we're not. We're pretty far from that archetype, I think. All right, what does this one do? Put a 1/1 counter. Okay, this is kind of interesting. I think we'll take the land here. Just as something to buff up our creatures. And if we see an Innkeeper's Talent, which I doubt we will, that would be something that we could do with that. Okay, now we have a Splash Portal, and I think we kind of got to take that Splash Portal because that gives us something to actually bounce with. So we'll take the Splash Portal. Probably should take a look at how this deck is proceeding. We can take another Pawn Prophet here. Yeah, and I mean, obviously we can't splash the Driftgloom Coyote. Let's see, what do we have? We have a Clifftop Lookout and 1 Heaped Harvest. And Clifftop Lookout doesn't even get you something that, it doesn't tutor for a specific land. You just reveal them off the top of your library. You can't bounce it. There's a pretty good chance you eventually get the land you need, but Seedpod Squire is kind of interesting, and this one we don't even have to splash for. We just play it with the blue mana. But maybe just another Pond Prophet, just so we can draw, you know? It's a good target to hit with the Splash Portal and stuff like that. Yeah, we didn't really, because we passed up that initial green-blue card, this is probably not what we're going to be. This is probably not a fantastic deck. We'll take this Pawn Prophet. Blacksmith's Talent. Oh, man. Blacksmith's Talent is also busted. It's really good. Is there a world where we splash red? I don't think so. For this effect specifically, like, because it plays for, like, you ideally want to get this down as soon as possible. It is really good. It is maybe like a nice way to, I mean, maybe we splash for it. It is just that good of a card, but we see a Polywallop here. I think the responsible choice is the Polywallop because we have so many frogs. A second Blacksmith's Talent. Jeez, oh Pete's, we're taking it. We're going to take it and see if we can splash for it. I don't think that that's likely. And now I think we'll take this Uncharted Haven just because it is a land that we can use to splash. Let's see. Return 2 creature cards, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Pretty weak effect, I think. I played Bruiser we could actually play, but it's not great. It's like a decent top-end threat. I don't know. Maybe we do go with that. I think it's better than Calamitous Tide. This is just so expensive. and it's at sorcery speed, and you have to discard a card. I don't really understand why you have to discard a card if you're already I mean maybe it's because in the blue decks you kind of when you want to hit threshold, the discard effect is actually like a benefit and not a drawback. I don't know that we need a third Bellowing Crier, so I guess we'll take the Junkblade Bruiser. All right, now we see a Gossip's Talent. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked. Okay, yeah, I think we take the Gossip's Talent. Although there is an argument for Fountain Port Bell, we'll hope that wheels. I think we'll... I don't know, actually, will this pack come back around? I'm not sure. I'll put the Light Shell Duo in the sideboard. See another Bellowing Crier, but I think we just want the Waterspout Warden. And we're going to have to make some cuts here, so... Second one of those. Blacksmith Talent Wheels, and High Stride. Okay, this is our deck. This is going to have way too many cards in it, so we're going to have to make some cuts, and I don't know. Blacksmith Talent is so good, it's like... But it benefits from being in probably a different kind of deck than this is. I don't think we need double Waterspout Warden. All right, let's see what we got here. Patchwork Banner, we're keeping 100% because we are on frogs, like, big time. The Junkblade Bruiser. I'm not sold on this card. We have the Eddie Merc Crab as our top end threat. The Hivespine Wolverine kind of has the same function. We have an Uncharted Haven. Hollow Village. What's our mana spread look like? Pretty evenly split between blue-green, and then we're splashing that little bit of red. And yeah, I think we just splash for the Blacksmith's Talent and see how that goes. Our 1-drops are really weak, though. So... basically, we have Splash Portal. We don't need 2 High Strides. We maybe don't even play the High Strides at all. Although I don't have... Ooh. I don't think I have any Reach in this deck, which is kind of crazy. For a Frogs deck, I mean. But we didn't take that initial blue-green. Probably should have, but, you know, is what it is. Druid of the Spade. I don't think we're making tokens at all, except through the Blacksmith's Talent. So... it's okay. What do we make tokens with? Not much. I think we take that out. It's also not a frog. And the Mind Whisker is kind of fun. 3-tree Root Weaver helps us get that Blacksmith's Talent out, so I think we definitely keep that. And then Bellowing Crier helps us with the Mind Whisker if we want to play that. Do we need 3 mountains for this? Because they come down early, kind of. The only thing we have here, we have a double green and a double blue in these 2 cards. So I think we're going to take out 1 mountain and add in a forest. That Hivespine Wolverine coming down could be pretty important. And then how many instants and sorceries do we even have? 3 instants, 2 sorceries. It's not a ton for the Eddie Merc Crab, but, you know, it could get us there. I'm, like, debating on the Mind Whisker. You do get... Oh, so it does kind of enable itself with the Surveil, which is kind of nice. So I guess we'll keep that. We will keep that. Maybe 1 Bellowing Crier, yeah. Because the Pawn Prophet is just better. I have very little confidence in this deck, but we'll see. We'll see how well we do. It's a very odd color combo. I mean, it's not really. It's this color, like frogs as a clan, as a faction, is pretty decent if you have all the pieces for it. Notably, we do not. We really don't have any of those signpost uncommons or rares that really allow this faction to pop off, so we will see. We do have turn 1 Blacksmith's Talent, though. We don't have any green, but it's kind of tough not to keep this. So we're gonna, because we can use those, the turns we have to take off at least to level up blacksmith's talent, I guess, if we get really unlucky. And this card is just really good. Okay, so we might be in a mirror matchup, and ooh, yeah, that's kind of brutal pulling. I even added that extra forest just in case, but the gods have aligned themselves against us. Yeah, he's got, I mean, he has a pretty good curve here. He dumps a Sunshower Druid, so he had double Sunshower Druid. Okay, so in this case, I mean, at least we could put in the blacksmith talent. I mean, maybe, I think we want the Patchwork Banner out because it gives us that mana fixing. And then next turn, we can actually do some stuff. So let's just probably play that out, and he's probably going to be surprised when we also go Frog here. So we are also on Frogs, and we have the Patchwork Banner and the Blacksmith talent. So hopefully we can catch up here with those cards in mind and get some damage through. I would love to be able to play this with Offspring, and we're pretty close to being able to do so. Okay, he doesn't have an Otter, so he has to pay full price for that. Oof. Okay, so this costs 6 with Offspring, and I think we want to play it with Offspring. So we are going to go ahead. We should be able to play this right now, right? I don't really understand. Okay, yeah. All right. What do we want to do, though? This, I think we can worry about leveling up later. So we're going to do the Heaped Harvest. And yeah, we're going to search for a basic. We're going to get a forest because we definitely need one of those. And then we will sack this over the end step, gain 3 life, and get another forest. Seems like the right move. He'll attack. I mean, it's obviously, yeah, why not? This is getting to the point where it is a little dire. But he's playing, like, you know, they are good pawns in this archetype, but it's not like these are bombs or anything, so I think that we should be able to catch back up with what we have in hand. Because if we play this for Offspring, we tap down 2 of his creatures, and that puts us in an okay spot, I think. Okay, yeah, so let's go ahead and sack this. Go up to 16, and we'll get another forest. Bit of thinning as well, which is nice. So we'll drop this island. We will play the Splash Lasher for Offspring. I don't know if there's a specific way we need to tap for this because we don't end up with enough mana to... Yeah. Okay, so we'll do Baker's Bane Duo and the Bellowing Crier, because it might as well just be these two. I mean, there's no reason not to. And then we could equip one of these even. I think that would probably be worth it to do. There's nothing really worth Polywalloping, although we could just hold up Polywallop if you play something really big. I think that is the play here. I think we hold up the Polywallop, because if he goes for the kill on the Splash Lasher, I think we just Polywallop. We Polywallop in response to his Polywallop. I'm guessing he's also running Polywallop. This is a fun word to say, so I'm just going to keep saying it. He has to have some kind of removal in this deck, right? I mean, we only picked up 1 Polywallop, so... But he's gotten to draw 2 cards and 3, 4 cards. Gets a Mind Spiral in. Okay. So that'll get 1/1. Target player draws 3 cards. If the gift was promised, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. So what was the gift? We got a tapped fish. Okay. So he's going to go to attacks. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it to kill this. This is a bounce target. He already has another one, so I think I'm just gonna block here. And take that 2 damage. And then, yeah, I just don't see a world where we play Poliwop on the Baker's Bane duo. This is interesting, but I think what we will do here is level this up. Probably level it up again because we want to get that double strike going. And we'll put this on our boy right here. And we can attack for 6 here. But that leaves us with only 1 blocker. And then he comes through for 2, probably 3 here. 3, 6, 3, 5, 7, 8. 8 damage. We can block one. We can block with the Bellowing Cry, or we can block the fish on one of the Bellowing Criers. So I think we'll take this attack. It's really risky, but I think we got to do it. I don't know. Maybe that might have been really greedy, because if he puts us down, let's see, 8 minus 2. So if he puts us down by 6, then we're in pretty dire straits. Like, I assume he can do it too. He hasn't played a good target for Wear Down. This is like, the Wear Down is like almost a better card if you're Valley Flood Caller. Yeah, I mean, that's a good card. If you cast a non-creature spell, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, that could give, if he has a non-creature spell, he could actually kill us here, potentially. Yeah, okay. Yep, he's got us. Yeah, I knew I was being a little greedy here. So that's 9 plus 2 is 11. Yeah. So we have to kill that Flood Caller, 100%, and we will. Let's do that. Let's do our Blacksmith's Talent. See if he counters it, because he does have the mana up to do so. Okay, then we'll play Clifftop Lookout. And I think he's holding a counter spell. I think that's what he's got. So we're going to try and Polywallop here. We'll hit the Flood Caller, and we'll get it countered, and then we just lose. Oh, okay. All right. But now we're in a position where we have to hold up our blockers. There's really not anything for it. Level this up because we have nothing else to do with our mana. We obviously don't need both of these to be leveled up all the way. And we'll put this on the Lookout. All right. I don't like that you have to select the equipment, and like, it's very annoying. Okay, so that's that. All right, but actually, oh, can we just win here? Let me just double check. So this is 6. 6, that's 12. Okay. Yeah, we actually just win if he can't. Oh no, the food! Oh, the food! I was not paying attention. That was so close. Good game. Oh no, what was I thinking? Yeah, that was a blunder. Okay, he had the mana up for the food. I was thinking it was a counter spell, and that's why I forgot about the food. Wow, that was an embarrassing loss. That was really bad. Well, we threw that game in the home stretch. The Blacksmith's Talents sort of proving their worth. I think they made me a little bit greedy with the attacks there. Let's see. So if I had put the double strike on the 4/4, we actually would have won there, I think. Yeah, that's unfortunate as well. So I was a little bit... I made some poor decisions there with the sequencing and the way that I set up those attacks. So, all right, well, lessons learned. We should be able to go into this next one with a little bit more wisdom with how this deck functions. So we'll see. Although last time we did draw It was like not an ideal draw because we didn't have green, but it was like okay because we had the blacksmith talent and a red source. So this time, this is a tough keep, but we go first, so we will keep this. We should be able to draw into some of our answers here, and we can play this immediately for green, which is really nice. And he mulligans, so I think we're going to be in really good shape. So that Uncharted Haven is green. We can immediately play Pawn Prophet into a second Pawn Prophet, which is great. Yeah, so we could Pawn Prophet Sunshower Druid. And we're drawing all of our islands, which is so cool. And I think we pop this on this Pawn Prophet, because this one we can use to bounce, and then this one we can get in for a little bit of extra damage with. I don't know that it matters a ton, and we just immediately polywallop that. There's no question. Yeah. Because this does double the damage, so yeah. So we don't even let that stick around. Camellia, the Seed Miser is just insane. If we had pulled that, we would have immediately gone into... Well, you need other squirrels, but she makes squirrels, so it's... I mean, it's just very good. Oh, whoops. I did not mean to attack with that Sunshower Druid, but I was just very glad we had that Polywallop immediately for the Camellia, because that card is nuts. So, all right, so we don't have the mana to play this with Offspring, and we don't even have a target for it. So I think we just go to combat and attack. Yeah, I think we wait on the Splash Lasher. I mean, we'll be able to play it with Offspring if he gets down 2 creatures. And we are already off to like a great start here. Okay. So he's going to Forage, which is kind of risky because now he misses out on the... Wow, okay. Just total land flood. Now he misses out, though, on the life gain. And we can actually put multiple stun counters on this with Offspring, which we may as well do. There's not really a point to waiting on this, because we also want these guys to be able to attack. So that has 2 stun counters now. We'll attack with these 2 guys. And, I mean, we have all lands in hand, so it's possible he has something that could catch up. He's in black, so he should have removal. I mean, we'll see what he can do. Mr. Takuma, 1013. Igra, okay. Well, I mean... I mean, he 2 of the best cards you can possibly get. Okay. Well, it's like now we're just dead. Like, we're just dead. I don't know how we get rid of this, because like Polywallop is our only good removal spell. Oh man, that is brutal. I guess we could kill the Bumbleflower Sharepot. I don't even know what to do here. We hold up blocks for Igra so that we can triple block him or whatever. And I think we just hit this so he can't... Yeah, we just do that. All right. And we'll crack that Bumbleflower Sharepot so we can't use it to remove one of our threats. And no attacks. Yeah, I mean, I was worried he might have Igra, but it was like not that big a worry. This is, I think, a Mythic, right? And he has a flyer now. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, what do you do? I think we're just dead. He even has ward, so let's see. Yeah, we'll go to my turn. Root Weaver, that's not going to do it. I mean, I think we're just screwed here. There's really nothing we can do about this Igra. No attacks. I think I took out that High Stride, too. Igra is just it's brutal. And he has a Hunter's Talent. Okay. I think we just concede here. I don't think there's anything we can do about this. Yeah. Oh, man. Two of the best rares you could possibly go up against. That's just not feasible. You know, if we like the first game we definitely threw, but the second game it was like, because if you attack into Igra, Igra just blocks one of your creatures and you lose them. And if you don't attack into Igra, you're just stuck. I guess we could have waited for the Eddy Merc Crab. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything we can put in here. We kept one High Stride. Yeah, I think we just keep this as it is. It's not like there's anything else we could sub in. I mean, we can't play around people just having, like, the best cards you can get in this set, right? I don't think... so we had some gems stashed from our last... my last run, and we are just getting very bad pulls on the lands here, so we're gonna have to mulligan this. This is interesting. I guess we'll keep this. I don't think we dump the Polywallop because we just need this as a way to... I think it's the Gossip's talent. I like Gossip's talent, but I think it's what we got to do. Polywallop is really our main form of removal, so bottoming it just seems really irresponsible. And we otherwise have like a pretty good curve here. Or potentially a good curve, we'll see. So we have to play the green, and we have to play the Root Tree Weaver to get out Pawn Profit. Not ideal, but we have the fixing we need, and we pulled two of our red sources like off the bat. Maybe the mana in this deck is a little bit wanting, but... Play the island. Pawn Profit. Hopefully draw something decent. I don't think Carrot Cake is worth killing, but I also think it might be because we don't know what else we're going to see. I think we save this, and we could equip the Pawn Profit. I don't know what the point of equipping Pawn Profit is, though, because the 3-Tree Weaver also is a blocker. So we'll just go next. No attacks. Okay. Yeah, it's like Wear Down. Wear Down is a possible takeout, but like if we see a really good talent, like in the last game, we could have saved Wear Down for their Hunter's talent, but Hunter's talent like comes down and immediately presents value on the board. Like it immediately gives you removal. So it's just really good. And now we see another Carrot Cake, so they're like shooting that first Carrot Cake would have been kind of a waste, I think. Okay. So we'll drop that. We're gonna go level this up. And maybe just equip the Root Weaver and attack. Actually, if he wants to trade both tokens for the Pawn Profit, I'm happy to let him do that. So that's what we're going to do. Because if we attack with this, we don't have a good block. I think it would be kind of crazy to do that, because he's probably hoping to build up, like, quite a few rabbits. And the problem with leaving both Carrot Cakes is now, if he didn't have, like, a good, like, 4-mana play, he can just crack both of these over the end step, gain 3 life, make 2 more rabbits, scry. But he has a Strike Force, which we have a Polywallop for. So we like that. So we could play the Splash Lasher without Offspring, tap down the Strike Force, and just attack through the tokens again. And we can Polywallop it later for cheaper. Which is, I think, what we will do here. To combat. We'll see if he wants to trade the Pawn Profit. Yeah, and I think so. He is going to take the trade. Oh no, okay, he doesn't take the trade. All right, we'll play that mountain. Oh, we could actually. No. I mean, it wouldn't. We're just, yeah. I was like, oh, we could still polywall it, but then we would have kind of wasted that stun counter on the strike force. So, okay. Oh, that Plume Creed Mentor is really good too. At least he can't put 1/1 counters on the strike force. I still think strike force is more dangerous. I don't know. I don't know what's the bigger threat here. If we can find a way to bounce the Splash Lasher, we can keep the strike force tapped down. And maybe we hit the Plume Creed Mentor. Okay. Let's see what he does for attackers. Alright, I think we just polywall up the Plume Creed Mentor right now. Creature you control, Splash Lasher, yeah. Because if he keeps playing flyers, I mean, having the strike force is good, but it's like it being in the air. I mean, it implies that he has more flyers. So if we kill his strike force, then oh no. Okay, so he gave it indestructible. He gifted us a food. Now we have the Eddie Merc Crab though, which is kind of cool. But we could also give something double strike. And maybe we just do that this turn and we take some lumps next turn because we're at 20 life. So I think we just level up the Blacksmith's talent. We will equip this to our Splash Lasher. Whoop. We just want to attack with this guy. Yeah. So now, yeah, he's strongly incentivized to block here. And now he can kind of come through on the ground. I think we just leave up the food token rather than re-equipping here because I think we're just not going to block him this turn. It sucks because the Strike Force has Vigilance. So yeah, he's just going to come through in the air. And that is fine. Okay. Yeah, we'll just leave the food there for now. I don't think it's a big deal that we missed out on it. So the wear down, he can just sack these in response. So that's not necessarily what we want to do. The Eddie Merc Crab is kind of interesting because we could get in for 10 damage with the Eddie Merc Crab this turn by tapping down these guys. That's kind of sneaky. Actually, yeah, we can't quite win, but that would be huge. Force him to spend some resources. It's kind of an interesting play because we can give Eddie Merc Crab haste. All right, we're going to do that. We're just going to try and race him. This might be really aggressive, and he could have a counterspell here. I didn't think about that. This time I was like, oh, he's saving the mana for the carrot cake. Oh, he doesn't have it. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to tap these down. We're going to equip the Eddie Merc Crab, which becomes a 6/6. And we'll attack with all three here. So he has to crack the carrot cakes. Yeah. And I think he just doesn't have the damage to really threaten us next turn. So he's gonna have to block with both of these tokens that he's making. Oh, he has a sugar coat. Nuts. Okay. Yeah, that. I mean, sugar coat. It's one of the reasons to be in blue. It's very good. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty brutal because I think that was like our ticket to winning this game, and I think we just got blown out here. Not great. Here for the frogs. Yes. Sorry, I didn't realize anybody was in here with me. So thanks for showing up. Yeah. It's not looking great for the frogs. I threw game one, kind of. I think it was on the cusp of winning game one. Game two, they had a Camellia and an Igra, Eater of All, and we just had a bunch of frogs. So it was a little bit rough. This game, we got some flyers. We don't have a lot of reach in this deck because we really didn't get the signpost frog cards, which is unfortunate. And I think this Eddie Merc Crab. Oh, we could wear down. Oh, I don't think this re-enters, unfortunately. But I think what we'll do is wear down on the sugar coat. Get the crab back into play. Yeah, and so he doesn't re-enter, unfortunately. We can give him double strike, but we are at 6, so he's going to hit us for 4 in the air. We have the runaway together, though, so let's go to combat. We'll just put this on this Eddie Merc crab. And we will attack with the crab. We'll at least take out one of his little dinky blocker guys. And first rate damage. Okay. Then we can run away together. Probably the strike force. It's kind of tough because, like, actually, no matter what we run away together, he gets a trigger off of the Plume Creed Mentor again when it comes back in. Oof. Okay. That's a lot of rabbits. The problem with this is he has, like, enough blockers that it's like... So he's putting... Yeah, so we'll just resolve all of these. Sure. All right. Yeah, so he's going to attack in the air. We will run away together now. Bounce the Splash Lasher. And we'll take 2 damage. Ugh. We'll sack the food. And we'll see what happens. Okay. Sure. Yeah, he just has so many blockers. Like, green-white is one of the best cards in this archetype. So, okay, so we can tap down a couple things. I just don't think there's any way out of this. Okay. This will spend all of our mana. If we do it with Offspring. There's just, like, no way around this, I don't think. Alright, let's see if we get something better than the Splash Lasher. I don't think we do, though. Yeah, it's a land, so we'll bin that. Yeah. And the reason I did it this way is... I think either way we're just dead. I don't think there's, like, a way around this. We'll actually just equip the Bellowing Crier. I think we're just done. I just don't think, yeah, I don't think that it's possible that we come out of this. If we survive this turn, we can tap down the Splash, we can tap down the Strike Force. But he still has such a huge board. I mean, there's just not really a lot that we can do here. Got a Sky Skipper duo, yeah. So I think that's it. I think we're donezo. I mean, we just didn't get any good rares. Like, 0, zilch, nada. Okay, so he's only attacking with the 1. Yep. Okay. And that comes back. He's going to make 2 more blockers. I mean, he's got a pretty good deck here. This is actually, so this is blue-white, but it's basically blue-white rabbits, which is really funny. Okay, so Patchwork Banner, I mean, we'll give it to the frogs. Not going to give it to the moles, that's for sure. Yeah, I think it's like what's the point of playing this out? I don't know that there is a point. I don't know that it's possible. So yeah, we're going to go... yeah, it doesn't really matter here. I'm just gonna concede. I don't think. I think it's rude almost to to waste this guy's time. Yeah, that was absolutely brutal. Did I have fun? No, I did not have fun. God, what a blowout. That was nuts. And I think that's it. I think that's it for us. We went 0-3 with this deck, which does not get us enough shekels to play again. So yeah, we're just gonna take our lumps and maybe switch over to something else. I don't know. This was nuts. Play a couple of rounds of maybe some standard ranked, just to finish things off. I mean, yeah, we got 0 wins out of that. I'm astounded. Like, that rarely ever happens, that you just get no wins out of a deck. So we're gonna go in and screw around with this this white red Boros. So Ghostly Dancers, a very good card from Duskmourn, is what I'm hoping to run away with the game with here. This is an interesting hand to be on the draw, and I don't think we keep this with only 2 lands. No way to play that. Well, we could Fabled Passage, get something for the Painter Studio. We can play Ruin Lurker. Maybe this is keepable. I don't know. Doesn't feel great. We'll mulligan that. Okay, that's better. And I think we dump maybe the Trapped in the Screen. It'd be kind of crazy to dump the land given the hand we just threw away, but these are untapped, so I don't know. Maybe. I think it's a Trapped in the Screen. We don't know if it's going to be that useful, so we want to just be able to play out all of our things here. So the idea with this deck is get the Doll Maker out. So just make a super wide board, unlock the Porcelain Gallery with the Ghostly Dancers, and then just run away with the game by having a bunch of like 5/5 toys, or like, you know, the toys just keep getting bigger. Cut down, obviously pretty strong against this deck early in the game, and we see a Deep Cavern Bat. This is a pretty common archetype in Ranked right now. Like, I see Deep Cavern Bat like every other game, and it is very frustrating to play against. I don't have a ton of removal in this deck, so I think we'll get out the Stoat. He'll probably cut down the Stoat again. But if he doesn't, then we can start making some toys and see what we can do. Yeah, and this card is everywhere. Virtual Persistence is like just a huge bomb. He took Midnight Mayhem, which is kind of interesting. I'm tempted to play Painter Studio now because the likelihood is that we get a land and something we can maybe play. Trapped in the Screen just doesn't do a lot for us here. Because we're already bleeding resources, and we get a land and something we can play. Okay. So next turn we plains double Dollmaker Shop, and at the very least he can't do anything about this. So he's probably going to take the Trapped in the Screen. Yeah. The thing about Deep Cavern Bat is, like, you always have to prioritize taking the removal spell, because otherwise they just play it on you. So we Dollmaker Shop, and then we Dollmaker Shop the one he knows we have in hand. And we'll see if we can get something out here to attack with. This is not ideal. We would love to have this Midnight Mayhem. Okay, and then he's going to take whatever we get here. Yep. Yeah, so at least this is not something that can attack. Oh, man. Yeah, that's rough because we are missing our land here. So we will just unlock this. He's probably going to force us to discard this Ghostly Dancers, which is really tough. And he plays a Preacher of the Schism. Man, we are just obscenely unlucky today with all of our draws. Obscenely unlucky against what we're playing against here. I mean, if we could just get something on the board to attack. I have a couple of haste creatures in here. He has a Sheoldred. I mean, what do you even do with this? What do you do? Okay, we can't even Sheltered by Ghost. Yeah, we just concede here. God damn! This is really brutal. This is the first time I'm streaming Arena, and like every game is just like a complete blowout. Like the first game I played today, admittedly, I definitely threw that one. All right, best of 3. If we can win 2 more, I'll be satisfied. Or if we can win 2 today, if we can get a couple wins under our belt, then maybe we'll switch over to some painting here in a minute. I know this is kind of an odd stream setup, but yeah, we're going. Keep that. I think we actually play this first. so that if he doesn't remove this, we can attack with it with the Dollmaker Studio down. Innkeeper's Talent, absolutely brutal card. We'll see if we can beat it. I'm going to go in for that attack, make a token. At the very least, we'll hopefully be making enough tokens to survive through whatever he's playing. Yeah, Kami of Whispered Hope. Oof. With Innkeeper's Talent down, that's pretty rough. So I think what we want to do here is probably get the Urabrask's Forge down, because we can play Reckless Lackey if he like clears our board and we need to get the Dollmaker shop going again. So we want to do this. And we should hopefully generate a board with no end of blockers until we can get something to deal with this, because we do have the ability to, like, I think we wait for him to level up. Hopefully he levels up this Innkeeper's Talent, and then we can just, what do you call it? Then we can exile it with a Sheltered by Ghost or a Trapped in the Screen. I don't know if those are like the best removal spells. Sheltered by Ghosts is kind of interesting because you play it on a creature and then you're no longer, it gives it lifelink and ward and +1. And then you're no longer incentivized to attack with it because you don't want the thing that's like trapped underneath it to get released again. So it's kind of an interesting deterrent. I think this guy might be a little lost in the sauce here. We'll see. He's going to bushwhack. Search for a land. He must have been land screwed because, there's not a good removal target for him, granted. And he doesn't have a good attack either. I mean, he has as much mana as he could ever hope for with the Kami. But he seems to be kind of dumping his hand here. Okay, so he can exile with this thing. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, he's going to give these a bunch of... It's not great. We just play the tap land? I think we just play the tap land. We're getting land flooded yet again, so that's great. And yeah, we'll just attack with our boys here. Yeah, he's going to block. That's fine. I mean, these are going to get huge. If he can clear our board... And I think we play the Reckless Lackey here just because... do we? Yeah, I think we do. He could clear our board here. That would be very bad. I actually don't know what he would do that with in mono green, though. Now that I'm thinking about it. So, we'll see what happens. Harvest. All right, we play 2 more games, and then we switch over to frog painting. I actually have a piece that it's kind of MTG related. Ooh, what's he gonna kill here? Probably the Reckless Lackey. Yeah, sure, whatever. He's got 1 card in hand. We have 3 lands though, so that's pretty bad. Granted, we're getting pretty close to triggering so he's just going to level that up. Yeah, make that a 9/9. Jesus. Holy crap. I mean, if he gives any of these trample, we're donezo. Another land. Yeah. I think the gods are just not with us today. Yeah, I mean, just getting... just land after land after land. It's really bad. It's bad. It's really bad. He's going to level all these up. He's going to level that up again. He's going to start drawing a bunch of cards. How is this? This is just getting tons of... and he's going to give it trample. Yeah, we're just not going to block. I mean, if we had drawn anything, we could be okay here. Like, literally any cards that aren't lands. Any magic cards. I mean, except maybe this one. I mean, this is not really going to save us here, so we'll play it. and we'll see if we can get an answer. It says Ward 1. All right, so we will attack here, attack here. We'll make the toy and then trigger Enduring Innocence. This gets us a Glassworks way too little too late. Yeah, we concede here. I mean, absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal draws. The Glassworks early on would have allowed us to stabilize a little bit, but just not having those cards was pretty nasty. Okay, up against Shogun. Okay, well, I'll read the rest of that. Not that it's, I don't know what the preferred terminology is anymore. Okay, so we'll keep this. We have a pretty good curve here. Split Skin Doll will allow us to draw us a card with no discard as long as the Ruin Lurker Bat stays alive. And this card I've seen in some very interesting decks, so we'll see what happens here. Split Skin Doll or Doll Maker's Shop? I think I'm going to go Doll Maker's Shop because we keep up a blocker for... We just want to start generating these toys as soon as possible. So we'll get in for that damage. We can always play the Split Skin Doll next turn. We probably do because we want to make sure that we have a land. I would love not to play the Fabled Passage tapped. It kind of doesn't matter if we're playing the Split Skin Doll, though. Ideally, we draw an untapped land, put in Urbrask Forge, and then go from there. Exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. Why would he trade this? Why would you do that? What? Okay. I mean, so he doesn't want to exile my Dollmaker Shop? Very strange. I think we might... Well, I'm not saying we're getting gifted this game. We'll see what happens. So we'll play the Split Skin Doll, because we'd have to play it anyway. Okay, well, we'll get in our Fabled Passage. And go to combat and attack. So now we still have a blocker for the Rubber Belt Maverick. He might have some shenanigans with the exiling stuff from the graveyard. I don't know. We will see what he ends up bringing out, but sure. We have double Urbrask's Forge here, which is great. I mean, I'm imagining he's going to attack with this. Insidious Roots is also a very good card. Knowing that he has that coming down, we want to keep up Sheltered by Ghosts, I think, for that. And we'll get a Plains here because we have double white requirements in a couple spots. Now we just get out the Urbrask's Forge and we just start swinging here. He's probably going to... I don't know if he'll block here. I mean, it kind of makes sense. This is the start that we needed, but I think our opponent is having a pretty rough time of it, to be honest. I think we just Sheltered by Ghosts like one of the toys, because that's just not something we're going to want to be attacking with. Yeah, we want to get rid of that as soon as possible. We can attack. The Split Skin Doll is kind of unfortunate because it's just like, it's a toy, so it doesn't trigger Dollmaker Shop. I originally had some of the little monkey guys in here, but that card, the monkey guys just don't work either with the Dollmaker Shop. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called. Not drawing lands also doesn't work great for us. Okay, I think we really don't want him to be able to play stuff from the graveyard, but he's playing like a lot of low to the ground stuff. I don't know what his big plays are. So he's gonna forage. He's gonna make a bunch of dudes. I think we just kill that right now. I think it's our best option given what we've got going on, and then we remove the opportunity for him to block with this. We could even just start pinging him in the air, not allowing him to put these in the graveyard, but I feel like that's maybe getting too fancy with it because we just Like, he's going to start making these little insidious root guys. But eventually, hopefully, we can unlock the porcelain gallery. I don't know. It's looking a little dicey for that, even, because... Yeah, I think next turn we have to play Enduring Innocence. There's even maybe a world where we should have played Enduring Innocence earlier. Okay. So he's going to exile that. Yep, he gets back his Insidious Roots. And he exiles the Rubber Belt Maka or Maverick. Rubber Belt Maverick for that. Yeah. Oof. Okay. See, now we're like totally land screwed. It's feast or famine here. And our saving grace is that we have a pretty big... Jeez. Okay, so our saving grace is that we have this Herbrask's Forge, which honestly we probably want to be playing out the Herbrask's Forge, the other Herbrask's Forge, pretty soon here. Getting rid of one of those Insidious Roots pretty soon would be nice. Oof, yeah, because he's going to be able to do that twice this turn and make a bunch of huge dudes. So, yep, he's going to do that. What does this even do? Wow. Oh my god. Yeah. So he's going just as wide as us, and his creatures are going to be bigger because we just don't have lands. Really unfortunate. I mean, this is just like my unluckiest day on Arena possible. Pretty nasty stuff. Yep. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Why not? Because these just add 1 mana of any color. Okay. Yeah. Really, really gross. This is just gross. Because we could have had this game in the bag if we had hit all our land drops. Like, it just wouldn't even be a contest. I mean, it would be a contest, but it would be like, we would just have equal-sized armies of big, ridiculous shit. Okay. There's a land. There is a land. Okay, so these get... What does this do? Alright, yeah. It's like getting rid of this now almost doesn't do anything. Really unfortunate. I mean, maybe it's the Midnight Mayhem just so we have blockers up. I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's just... You get sheltered by ghosts like this one, I guess. But because it's like... I mean, that's just doubling up everything. Okay, I think we go like this. Sheltered by ghosts on one of the toys. And we grab an Insidious Roots. There's an argument we grab Agatha's Soul Cauldron, but I don't think that's even worthwhile. And there's also an argument that we wait and see what we get. So this... yeah, we go in the air. There's also an argument that we... He's gonna have to attack and then hope that he gets through with a bunch of stuff here. Yep, so he does that. That's gonna trigger all of his stuff. Yeah, he's just gonna attack and give his stuff trample? Can he do that? Oh, wow. Okay. Wait, what? How does this have that? What is this? There's just like too much things going on. Like, oh, because it has the abilities of this creature. Okay. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay. Well, if we had had lands, we would have been okay. But, all right, we'll go into our last game, see if we can pick up a win. But that was just nutty. Like some of the stuff that you can do. I mean, granted, again, if we had lands, it would be a completely different story, right? It would just be a completely different game. But we did not have lands, and therefore we were screwed. All right. I don't love this. Yeah, and the Shelter by Ghost, I'm not even sure that they're that good. Like, they're kind of good, but... all right, I think we're going to toss the... maybe the Painter's Studio? Maybe Betrayer's Bargain. Yeah, we just don't know if that kind of removal is going to be worth keeping. And apparently it was, because it exiles, and that's exactly what we want for a deck like... for facing off against a deck like this. So... because this guy, yeah, deals damage equal to its power, so he's just going to pump up a bunch of stuff and then attack. So this could go pretty quickly. All right, and then he's gonna sacrifice it and kill the Ruin Lurker. That's kind of interesting. Probably should have blocked there, I guess. All right, so next turn, if we don't get a 3-drop, rated bluffs it is. Looks like we have somebody else in the chat. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, having a bit of a rough day here on good old Arena. Totally blown out in our Blue-Green Frogs quick draft, and then absolutely getting stomped, screwed on lands or land flooded. So the first game we played ranked, we just got flooded with lands. The second game we were stuck on 3 lands with a huge and absolutely bonkers board full of stuff, and our opponent just had Insidious Roots and blew us out. So, you know, is what it is. Insidious Roots and Agatha's Cauldron to give the Insidious Roots sack and basically deal damage equal to their power. So it was pretty brutal. Okay, so here, yeah, we'll go Midnight Mayhem, gain back some life. So these are going to be, yeah, we'll deal 9 damage there, which is pretty good. And now if he wants to draw cards, it's putting him in the danger zone. Because if he's drawing cards off of Gix, then he has to pay 1 life for each. So yeah, this makes sense. So he's going to hit with that. He's going to give that a bunch of power. He's going to double that up. Okay, I mean, this is how you win with this deck. Is you deal 8, deal 16. Imagine he's going to pay the life to draw the cards. Sure. And then does he? Yeah, and he's going to sack this, put me down to not very much, and Manifest Dread, so he has a blocker up. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. He has 2 blockers. Yeah, because he was able to do it twice. Is that how? Wait, what? When it dies this turn, Manifest Dread. So that effect doubles when you hit it twice? That's kind of... I didn't realize that's how that worked. That's kind of weird. Okay, what does this do? Yeah, so he's got his blockers up. So I think we have to Ghostly Dancers here to give us some... Maybe we hit a land, something we can play. Ghostly Dancers gives us bodies, and we need them to block now. So... and we do hit that land. Oh, we already played a land this turn. Yeah, okay. Do we swing? If we swing with 2, he has to block one of them. This creature can't block, so he has to block with one of his face down cards. And the chance that he can flip up one with 1 mana that's going to make a difference is pretty low. So... do we go with all 3? It gets pretty dicey if we go with all 3. But we still have 2 blockers if we do. Okay, we're gonna risk it for the biscuit here. So he can block with 2. Yep, and he has to. What were they? Anything good? No. All right. Yeah, that figures. I mean, it makes sense. So we have 2 blockers. He's got a hand probably full of gas. So, yeah. Okay. Well, yep. Come back wrong. I mean, what do you do? Yeah, we're screwed. Does he have any enchantments in the yard? No. Which is good. He can attack in the air for 2. We will block Gix. Okay. And does he... So this dies. This is just dead now, which is really unfortunate. Did that not give it haste? What does come back wrong do? Sacrifice. Okay, if a creature was put into the grave. Okay. Yeah, so we play this mountain from there. We play our Reckless Lackey. Oh, and he just gives up. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess he only had 1 life left, and we had an attacker, and he had no blockers. So that's how you do that, I guess. All right, we'll do one more since we finally got a win. That was by the skin of our teeth. I'm not sure this deck is... I think this deck can pop off, but it's a very high-risk, high-reward deck because it doesn't have a lot of, like, answers to common threats. Or the answers it has are kind of like... So, like, Sheltered by Ghosts, again, is kind of a catch-22 because you need a creature to be able to cast it. Here, at least, we have a curve of some kind. I can't remember if we were on the play or on the draw. We're on the play. Okay, great. We have a curve. We can play cards, which is great. Mountain. Probably the Bright Blade Stoat here because we want that to not have Summoning Sickness as soon as possible. And then we can start swinging with it, gaining some life, which is nice. The Ruin Lurker Bat, the reason that we're playing it in this deck is basically so we can have a flyer in the air early to trigger the Dollmaker's Studio, or Dollmaker's Shop, or whatever it is. I think it's... See, the argument for Defaced Gallery here is that if we hit a land, we can play it next turn and probably play whatever else we get unless it's Ghostly Dancers. So that's the argument there. But I think we just go Defaced Gallery here. And if he counters it, he counters it. Okay, yep, that's fine. What's unfortunate about that, though, is that because this, what he played exiles this, we can't get it back with the Ghostly Dancers. So he's going to temporary lockdown? Okay. We can Trapped in the Screen that. Which I think we're just going to do. Yeah. Okay. So when this enters, so if he can destroy this, it's just going to do that again, but he'll have, this has Ward 2, so we'll have to, like, basically tap out to do that, which is great. Yeah, sure. We're just going to keep playing this game. That's fine. So we get to play this for 5. We can't really play it for 5 though, because wait, as long as how does this work? For as long as that permanent remains exiled, yeah. So we just play this again, and we just keep the train rolling. Okay. I mean, how long can he keep doing this? He might have a deck that like really goes all in on that. I don't know. So the Soul Partition. He's going to get it out again, but then... Wait, how does this work? Okay, so yeah. Oh, that's from your hand. Okay. So I don't think we screw around here. I think we just put in the Razorkin Horde Caller and... So what is this going to do? Exile target instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Copy it. You may cast the copy. So he's going to get back the Soul Partition. Hit the Trapped in the Screen. It would be pretty funny to do this, so I'm just going to do it. He has to pay a count. Yep, so he counters that. He'll get back trapped in the screen. Yeah, that's pretty annoying, but it's and maybe that was the wrong move. So he's gonna get that out. He's gonna spend all of his mana to hit the trapped in the screen, and then we'll just play Razorkin Horde Caller and start beating down again. I mean, I don't hate that. He's spending, I don't know what the goal of this deck is, but he's spending like all his mana to answer the trapped in the screens. So the Ward 2 on that is really proving itself to be pretty useful here. And we can even play this again if we really wanted to. Which I almost think would be pretty, I mean, it'd be pretty funny to do. But I think we just get down the Horde Caller and start beating. Yeah. Because now he's really in the danger zone here. And next turn, we can even trapped in the screen. Hit that temporary lockdown again. He's probably going to counter it, though. So, do we attack first? I mean, if he counters this, he counters it. I mean... I'd rather him counter this than the Midnight Mayhem at this point. Because Midnight Mayhem is going to be even better with Razorkin Horde Caller. So we'll trapped in the screen. He'll counter it. Whatever. And if he can't, then, you know, what? I just, like... I don't know what his game plan is going to be. Because even if he has another one of these temporary lockdowns... the Razorkin Horde Caller won't be affected by that. So then we just play... And we just attack with the Razorkin... We play Midnight Mayhem, attack with the Horde Caller, and win. Like, there's really no way out of this for him. Sure. Alright, so he'll get that back. He'll wipe my board. And then he just spent all of his mana to get rid of a few cards that I don't even need to win the game. Yeah, okay. So we just win that game. Alright. Very nice. Got a couple of wins under our belt here, which is great. Really unfortunate that we didn't hit the hit enough shekels to go again on the Bloomburrow draft. Let's see. We're not even earning XP towards this thing, so we're not going to get that 2,000 gold today. But we'll play one more, go for that last 100 gold reward on the old tracker, and then I know I keep saying we'll play one more. But once we do that, then we can jump into some painting here. I'm painting a proxy for Worldly Tutor. Is the plan. So on the draw, I'm running one copy of this Anim Pakal just because it makes more bodies, and it's kind of a cool thing that they have to remove kind of threat, and it's only 3 mana, so our opponent goes first, and we don't have any 1 or 2 drops because this has to come down once you have a creature in play, so we have to mulligan this. This is an interesting hand. I'm running one copy of Mondrak. Mondrak is like an immediate removal target. So if you play it early, it's really hard to keep it alive because you probably don't have the tokens or the artifact, or like you probably just don't have what you need to sacrifice it. So we're going to keep this and probably put away Mondrak, even though Mondrak is fantastic. But he's tough to cast too with that double white pip. We'll play the Inspiring Vantage. Next turn we get out the Dollmaker. This could be a really bad deck to play against because he's already got his combo piece up. Yeah, ooh, okay, we're going against Lizard's Tribal. Actual Lizard's Tribal, not like the one where you have the card where you sack it and it brings all the lands from your graveyard. So we have to get in the Dollmaker shop now. Okay, Thoughtstalker Warlock. So he's going to be able to reveal, yeah. Okay, Monstrous Rage, really interesting choice. I mean, we're in a pretty rough spot here. So, oops, did not mean to play that. Okay. What I meant to play was the planes, so I can get in Enduring Innocence. But it seems that, yeah. I think, yeah, this is just in a really bad position here. Betrayer's Bargain doesn't do a lot for us. So next turn we block, and if he plays a land, I think we're just dead. Yeah, okay. Well, that was pretty rough. We're going for that next win, and this he just had a really fast start, and we had a very slow start. I think that this deck is running too many 3-drops. So let's take a look at that. Let's see if there's something we'd rather sub in. Something with haste in the 2-drop slot would be kind of cool. So what are we looking at here for 2 mana? I don't think we're playing the Roadrunner. It's kind of interesting. All right. Gains haste. That's kind of interesting to plot the Coyote even. Give something else haste. And dump what? Something in the 3-drop slot. I mean, the Urbrass Forges are just really good. Anim Pakal, again, potentially a little bit slow. Our mana curve is like not really a curve at all, which is a problem. It's just like all over the board. But I think part of that is because the rooms are effectively like bumping up this far into the curve. Maybe it's trapped in the screen. Those kind of did okay for us last round. Anim Pakal is good. It is very good. And I'm kind of just like, let's see. So this has haste. When it enters, this is kind of interesting. I think I'll put in the Charming Scoundrel here, just for a little bit of flexibility. And we take out, I really like Anim Pakal. Maybe we take out Mondrak. I mean, it is great, but I mean, the payoff is huge for it. But it is just like expensive to cast, difficult to keep around if you're not running multiple copies. It's rough. So, and we are not. That's not really the goal. This deck has no problem making tokens, and a lot of them. We're playing against Chlamydia. Is the name of this player. Okay. Oof. Do we just hope that we draw our white source? Otherwise, I mean, because we do have a curve here. If we, I mean, we'll keep it. Since we're playing first, we can get out that Reckless Lackey right away. We're a long ways off from casting Ghostly Dancers anyway. And if we draw a white source, yeah, we can do this. Immediately start tapping down and going for those toy boys. I do like the design of the rooms. I think the cards themselves, like the physical cards, are like pretty ugly, just because of the way that they're split. But the rooms as a concept is nice. Okay, so he has Ozolith. So we're up against another 1/1 counters deck. Maybe mono green. And I think we go Urbrass Forge here. I don't think there's much of a question there. We attack with everything, and we're off to a pretty strong start here. I wouldn't mind exiling that Ozolith. Yeah, Bristly Bill's good. He gets his land in, so he's going to put 2/1/1 counters on that. good. It's a good magic card. Okay. Now we have a choice here, because we could play the Painter's Studio, try to get a white source. And then we can still attack with Urbrax Forge and keep making little dudes. I think we want to be playing the Ghostly Dancers as soon as possible. So we're going to go Painter's Studio. Try and get a white. We don't get it. Very unfortunate. We'll play this land. Attack with our boy here. And then we can Trapped in the Serene, probably the Bristly Bill. Because Ozolith, I mean, he's probably running multiple copies of this, and since they're legendary, he can only have one out at once anyway. So I think we want to hit the Bristly Bill with the Trapped in the Screen. Yeah, because that's just going to keep getting bigger, and then... Okay, what do we got here? Powers 3 or greater, put 2 1/1 counters on it. I mean, that is nuts. And maybe we just hit that because that's gonna be some serious value for him over time. I would love to play this Midnight Mayhem, but yeah, that's not looking like what's gonna be happening here. Okay, that's fine. He's wanting to thin out my board. I'm surprised. I'm almost kind of surprised he didn't attack there. And we don't get our 5th land, which is pretty rough. So I think we're on the defense here for sure. And it'd be tough not to play the Trapped in the Screen because we're going to want to hit that Tribute to the World Tree. And we can always keep attacking with the Urbrass Forge to get more blockers. So at least that gives us some board presence while we take a turn off to play that Trapped in the Screen. I mean, like... Eventually, he gives this trample with something, and that's going to be bad. But until then, we're in okay shape. We really need a white source. Untapped. Because if it comes in tapped, we're probably dead here. Okay. Okay, that, yep, Innkeeper's Talent. Brutal. Absolutely brutal here. We get our white source. Okay. We have double Ghostly Dancers, which is insane. Okay. And then we attack with this guy. He becomes an 8/8. And our opponent just folds. Yep, because once you get that, it's, that's... I was like, oh man, this is bad, but he only had the one creature with no trample. So, I mean, how bad could it really be? Okay. So we get that 100 gold. All right, I think that's all for today with Arena. And we're going to go ahead and... I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Exit game. Okay. And let's see. I need to do some maintenance over here. I need to do a little bit of shuffling around here because my setup is kind of a mess for switching on the fly, which is one of the reasons I wanted to test this out today. So let's see if we... How's that? All right, now we got the mic going. I was like, I've just been silent for a while because I couldn't figure this mic thing out. Okay, so we are back in Clip Studio. We are rendering out this frog guy. We're going to be grabbing some green here. And we got our oil paint flat brush. His little frog hand. I think I probably need to get some reference for this. For our little frog hands on this guy. So we're going straight into some painting here. I've been working on this piece for a minute, and I kind of feel a little bit stuck with it. I feel like I probably need to go back to the drawing board a little bit and try and figure out what the heck's going on with frogs. You know, what's going on with their funny little eyeballs and their, like hands and stuff. Because frogs kind of they don't have paws. They have like hands. They got like weird little, almost like humanoid hands. Frog hands. Well, not humanoid, but oh man, wait, what the heck is going on? Do frogs only have like 4 fingers? What the shit? Okay, frog hands are like way more wild than I thought. Okay, so frog hands are like, they got like a little, I probably should have been paying more attention during that Bloomburrow draft. They go like out like this, and like this, and like that. But they're like long and spindly, and I'm probably making this too big for this guy. But we're gonna go ahead and just kind of try and get the overall shape down. His little froggy thumb like way out here. Try and deal with the colors later, because then it looks like there's like a lot of webbing. So like fingers like all the way out to here, and then the webbing sort of in the middle. You can do some like maybe a bit of a color change with the webbing there, just to indicate that for future reference, so that as I'm rendering this out, I remember that it's like webbing, and then little like finger dots here. Yeah, what a strange creature. What a like, you know that saying, like, truth is stranger than fiction. It's because real animals are freaks. Like they're freaks of nature, literally. Like they're like animals are, like, once you get up close and really look at them, are like way crazier than like almost any fantasy creature that's ever been thought of. Which is awesome. I think they're so weird. They're so funky. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be super messy, and I think that's how we want it to be in this environment. Because here's the thing: when you're trying to stream and paint at the same time, doing like really intense detail stuff and very heavy, specific kind of rendering is tough. It's almost better to kind of lean into whatever format you're painting in, whatever setting you're painting in, to kind of lean into the benefits of that, or like lean into what are the weaknesses of that environment encouraging you to do. And in this case, this being a very casual kind of environment, where good painting. The thing this encouraged me to do is to just kind of try stuff and see what sticks, and really kind of mess around and just figure out this frog that way, and then kind of go back later with whatever comes out of this, and from there be able to figure out some of those details again. It's not the most efficient way to work, but sometimes art and efficiency just don't really come together. And that's okay. I think we can be okay with that. Also, one of the reasons I started with a little bit of gaming today, aside from, just for funsies and testing on the stream, is kind of get into the mode of like trying to stream every day and stream something maybe that I'm not entirely used to streaming. Try and just get a feel for how that's gonna go, so that we can do this more regularly. Just kind of build up that the muscle for it, build up the mental capacity for it. Now, frogs are, unlike their cousins, the toads, are rather shiny. So we want to make sure that we get some of that going once we've figured out some of these elements a little more. The other thing that I'm trying to learn with color is because especially when you come from doing a lot of line art and that more comic book rendering style, you kind of prioritize, you think okay, this section is this color and this section is this color, when really the color of real objects in the world is the color of like good paintings often have a lot more variation in color than what we see in a lot of flat comic book rendering. So trying to figure out okay, well now it's fine for me to kind of randomly add a little more blue here, or pump this up, make it a little more just toss in some random flecks of other colors, and not render or not just color this frog's face evenly with a single hue or something. I'm not even sure if I'm using those terms correctly. That's another thing I do want to study a little bit more. And I have one of James Gurney's books on painting. I think it's Color and Light. It's not the fantasy focused one. Although I don't know. I'm guessing that they cover a lot of similar territory. It's something you find with a lot of art teachers. It's not a bad thing. It just is kind of they often because they've developed an expertise in a certain area. Often much of their materials kind of stays focused around that area, and they will repeat a lot of their content across those different teaching tools, which is not a bad thing. Again, it's just something to be aware of when you're seeking out materials, and that's because for a lot of artists, what these artists are really developing is their own style, which has probably taken them years to figure out, years and years of a lot of repetition, and there is this kind of intangible thing that you get out of that, right? There's an intangible benefit from that, or maybe it is tangible, but it's more you can't just put that in a book and say, yeah, and then if you do this for 6 years, maybe you'll be decent at it. It's that's something you develop over time, so you can't really teach that. There's no teaching the skill that comes from experience, just more experience doing a thing. It can't be taught because it just must be done, and if it's not done, it won't be achieved, if that makes sense. I think that it's almost like axiomatic. I mean, I think it makes sense just because it sounds so stupidly obvious. Like, how could it not function that way? So we're kind of noodling around. I like the kind of painterly vibe that we're getting out of this. I've been using this standard oil paint flat brush that I think is just part of the Clip Studio package for a while now. And there are things I like about it, and there are things that I don't like about it. It's difficult, I think, to make a really clean painting with it. You really have to like knuckle down, and because it makes things very muddy when you're working on one layer. But what I like about it is that it encourages you to kind of work on a single layer, and I just like have found with digital painting that I get really tired of like flipping between layers and trying to work through things like that, because it just slows down the process a lot. And I enjoy noodling around and rendering things. And again, it's not the most efficient means of working, but sometimes efficiency is secondary to completing the work. It's like if you're concerned too much about efficiency, you sort of lose the. It's kind of like that saying, like, don't let like perfect be the enemy of the good or just complete thing, you know. And so if you're really concerned about doing it the most efficient way, sometimes you get bogged down in figuring out what that way is, and if you're not doing it that way, it's discouraging. And I felt that a lot lately. I don't know. I think it's like I've been trying to branch out and do some new subject matter with my paintings and drawings, just because I'm trying to get a new series of Magic proxy cards painted and printed, and there's obviously a huge variety of subject matter within Magic. I mean, this game has existed for so long. Even some of the cards I'm looking at doing a Ristic Study painting, and I was struggling to come up with something that was both my style and alluded to, I think, and paid homage to the original art of the card, which is a woman with dark skin, kind of lounging and studying this tome. And so I wanted to do something like that, but I was finding that it was just difficult for me to kind of get into the headspace for that, and render it in a way that felt like it was true to the original spirit of the art that has been featured on that card, while still looking like something that I would have painted, like that would have been something that I was doing. So I've kind of like gone in a different direction with it. We'll see how it turns out. Sometimes you ask yourself these questions like, am I doing this because I think it's going to be easier, or because it's actually what the piece needs? So if we're thinking about that efficiency question, that's kind of where that ends up, right? It's where that thinking will lead you. Oops. What are we doing here? I think I need to look at the back leg of the frog a little more specifically. I think I'm just gonna dump this leg entirely. That's okay, because we're working sometimes it's like you take a bunch of time to render something out, and then later you realize, like, oh, like, this is how I should have done it, and then you can just do it very quickly. Like, I think we're gonna do, I don't know if we want to make this a stump or just a rock that he's kind of sitting on. I'll make it a rock, and then frog. I kind of want to start to get in a few foreground element details that are just like foliage and stuff. Just kind of indicate that stuff now so that I have a better understanding of what if I'm going to be rendering out like this guy's leg, for example, over here. How much time do I want to spend on that? How much of that is going to be exposed versus not? And I think down here, I'm okay with having a lot of like brush and things like that. Or like I should probably look up like pond plants and things. But for now, we'll just kind of add those in just as these kind of like shapes down here. These strokes. I think we're okay with that, right? And then we'll do kind of like a dark blue here, kind of blue-gray for the water. Make that really dark down here, because some of this is also going to be obscured by the graphic design of the card itself. Like some of those design elements that I'm adding in. So we do kind of want that to be... We don't need to spend a ton of time down there is basically what I'm alluding to. And that's fine. Right? So we'll do that. I'm going to go back to the frog layer. And we're going to pull up a couple of pictures of frogs. We kind of just need to get like a general sense of like what those frogs look like when they're sitting down. Kind of from that side view. So that, I mean, their legs are super weird. So if we have this guy here, he's kind of got like, all right, so there's that, and then the leg kind of comes out like this. He's got his like initial little, kind of almost like that's like too far and forward, it looks like. Okay. So he's got his little leg coming out here. Let's sort of indicate that, I think, with a lighter brush, just so we can kind of remember those contours. Big old thing right there, and then his toes are almost kind of like coming out like this, which is kind of interesting. All right, we'll just get rid of this just so we're not. So the toes are like coming out. He's sort of like, he's got his toes kind of coming out like this, but his leg sort of does this switchback thing. Really long foreleg here. Sort of like the general shape of it. Yeah, I don't hate that, how that's turning out. So maybe in that Bloomburrow draft earlier, I was encouraged to go into frogs because I knew we'd be painting frogs later. And it screwed me over. I was completely blown out. Now I feel like I'm noodling a little bit too much. And it might be worthwhile to try something of a different approach here in some of these areas. Really, sometimes it's helpful just to really knuckle down in like one specific area. Render it out to the level that you are comfortable with, or the level that like you really think will sell the piece, and then kind of use that as a barometer for the rest of the piece. What do I mean by that? Well, figure out what level of detail you want your focal point to be at. And then you make sure that nothing else is kind of stealing the thunder of that. And then you also make sure that if there are other elements that like are part of that focal point, or like in this case, we kind of have two focal point characters, right? So you really want neither of their faces to be, less well rendered than the other. So like so this guy is kind of, we certainly see a lot of details in his face, so we can kind of use him as a barometer for how far we want to go, and vice versa. So if we get this frog up to a kind of like higher level of detail than the face, we have to kind of work with that and fix that a little bit. So it just kind of depends on the needs of the piece. The thing is, like, I'm kind of like rendering this to get the form of the creature here, and focusing on form kind of first and foremost, and then sort of thinking about how am I going to unify this in terms of lighting after. That's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do this, but it is the way I have found works the best with my brain. So that does have some weaknesses, because it might have been better for me to just kind of figure out the lighting of this first, and then sort of work from there. I think I definitely want his little eyeballs here. This nice protective layer. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at the sound on this stream and make sure that it's hunky dory, The other thing I need to add into this still is I want to give him like this root tree guy, like an apple or something that he's holding. The idea being like Worldly Tutor is a card that tutors for a creature, and thematically I think it would be fun to have it kind of like calling back to that. So it's like the idea is this guy is some kind of, I don't know, like sapperling druid fella that is calling up a creature, saying, hey, why don't you come on over here and hang out, little buddy. That's the goal. Okay, so that's something. Starting to look like a frog, Do we get into beard guy again? I think what this piece really needs now is for me to kind of go back into the background and sort of figure out what's going on back there, And maybe we think about giving this guy some spots, things like that. Kind of some like brown. Like dark brown, like kind of spots. This guy feels more like a forest toad or forest frog. And in part, I'm kind of just adding these things in to remind myself to give them some attention later. We'll do some on his forearms here. Doesn't look great up close, but I think from a distance it looks okay. Oh, I realize that I'm kind of like obscuring this a little bit, aren't I? Now that I'm looking at how this stream is set up. Make myself a little bit smaller here. See if that works better. I'm also like, because I'm trying to work close to this mic I have set up over here. Maybe I actually move this over to the other side. We got some growing pains going on here. That's okay. Reminds me to do a text I need to answer here. Okay. I don't mind this too much. I don't mind where this is going. Let's see here. And the frogs. Sometimes, it's because I'm not a painter originally per se. I'm more of a drawer. So I kind of like to go back and kind of add in those contours and see how they mesh. Kind of like more or less putting in some holding lines on the piece and see how that brings it together. It kind of shows me where things need to be short, like where the edges need to be kind of like figured out. Or rather, this is the process of me kind of figuring out the edges. Which is important for painting, especially. There are kind of styles of painting that rely more heavily on it's all kind of drawing in a certain respect. It's just sort of like drawing with big broad strokes rather than drawing with lines. I guess it's all kind of lines. I don't know. You could say it's all painting or all drawing. It doesn't really make a difference. Sometimes it's important, like how you can conceptualize your work, and sometimes it kind of just gets in the way of what you're trying to do. Why put a label on it? Sometimes there's no reason to do that. And sometimes you go back in and you kind of blend away the contours you put in, but it leaves sort of like a darker area there that will give you indication to work off of. And this is very easy to do with digital, obviously. Not as easy to do with like a traditional drawing or painting. I want to give this guy some like these yellow spots as well. And you can kind of go back in and blend this over later, but I'm just thinking that I want him to have some of that color variation and have something that links up with the colors that we have, the color scheme that we have going on with this worldly tutor guy over here, right? We just kind of go back in and blend that over. We might even like just sweep over this whole thing and just kind of see what that leaves us with, giving this kind of like speckled look. A bespectacled. Bespectacled is not the word, obviously, that we're trying to come up with here, but that's okay. Looks like a guy fella, you know? Looks like a fella guy. Doing taking a look at some lizards recently, seeing how lizards work as animals. Why do they look like they do? Well, not really going into the why so much as like looking at them. And yeah, lizard scales are wild. Like just the patterns of the scales, especially around their heads. Like they are not per se arranged as you would think they would be. There's a lot of variation in the sizes of the scales on their face. Probably to accommodate the kind of like different needs of, you know, the movement of the jaw and everything, which is obviously different than how, you know, on their back they would be Giving this guy the spots was the way to go. Little spots here and there. Details like this can also be used to kind of like figure out the form or indicate the form to the viewer, because you can kind of arrange them in such a way that the stuff closer is closer and the stuff farther away kind of has that angle to it. He kind of looks like he has chicken pox in his face, I'm realizing right now, but that's okay. Generally speaking, I might want to darken his face a little bit, even though it is kind of like to be a bright kind of focal point. Looks pretty like a pretty pleasant guy to hang out with, doesn't he? Make sure we don't lose too many of these details here. It's looking more like a frog, which is great. I think figuring out the hands and feet a little more really helped with that. Because, man, these guys have some goofy ass feet. Maybe they need to be a little bit thinner. Let's add some webbing in here. Obviously down here this is more obscured in the shadow, so we don't really want this to be lit in the same way. We can also do some stuff with layers later to kind of address that. cool. Pretty cool. I'm liking how it's turning out. I'm liking that a bit more anyway. Let's see. I think next it really will require some thinking about how we really want this background to be arranged. Whether there's much of a background at all, you know. That's probably the next phase for this drawing, this painting. I'm gonna save so that we remember, so that we don't lose all this work we just worked on. Shout out to the Kirkland Colombian cold brew coffee. By shout out, I mean unless you're really desperate, I wouldn't. I wouldn't purchase it. I normally don't take milk in my coffee, and I put a bit of milk in there. It's cheap. I think my mom got like a big case of it. We were on vacation with them, and we ended up taking home a bunch of it. It's not very good. It's my wife instructed me that I was to consume this instead of making my usual espresso this morning. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm enjoying this delicious Kirkland's finest Colombian cold brew. It says like 100% Colombian on the label, and Colombian coffee can be very good, but it is also the source of like a lot of mass-produced coffee, so I think it gets a bit of a bad rap for that reason. But I've had some very good Colombian coffee. This is not one of them. This is definitely like that, you know, kind of like Seattle's best level of coffee. Folgers. What's the one? Yeah, did I just say? I just said Folgers. Maxwell House. The greats of the world of brown sludge type coffee. I've heard it referred to as hot brown. That's about what you're getting with this. This is cold brown. Cold brown coffee, not particularly tasty. Does it do the job? It does a job. I guess it gets you jacked up on caffeine, just like anything else will. They say that cold brew has more caffeine, but depends on how much you water it down. Anything can have more caffeine if you just it's more concentrated. Drink what you enjoy in the morning more than anything. See, we have a new viewer in the stream. Welcome. I don't know if you're here for the art or for the Magic Arena. We are done with Arena for the morning. It's almost afternoon where I am actually. So, in any case. We got totally shredded in the Arena. Maybe we should have started with the painting. Maybe we would have gotten more good vibes that way. But here we are painting some frog. I think I said frogs in the description of this, but it's just one frog, really. It's just the one frog, really. There they go. Away they go. I don't expect to get too much traction on... it's kind of like, in this case, I'm kind of doing two things at once here. And I should probably just do one at a time. But break things up a little. I don't know. This guy's got a really crazy neck area going on. And I think I like that. I don't know if that's entirely anatomically correct for frog, but it is something. Maybe we should do like a huge marathon stream today. Okay. This guy is a frog now. I'm going to save that. We're going to go back to Tree Guy, I think. And maybe figure out his little fruit situation. Put a little fruit in there on his little arm here. But we're going to... In this one, I'm a little bit more free to be a little kooky with, because we have no... just kind of a humanoid guy. I'm starting to get into the little bit of the details here with his arms and his beard here, which I think I do want to kind of differentiate his face a little bit. Maybe make his face a little bit warmer, a little more orange. I don't know how I want to do that. Maybe even red around his cheeks, especially. Kind of get some more warmth in that area, because we do want this guy to be kind of like a friendly guy. I've been trying to work on doing more friendly type guys. You know what I'm saying? Friendly type fellas. We can give him like more of a bulbous nose here. Enhance that, a more bulbous red kind of nose. Does it make sense for a guy made of wood? Not per se, but it does kind of give you more of that, like he's coded as a friendly humanoid guy, you know? I like him with the big nose. He looks like he has one of those proboscis noses now. The proboscis monkey. They got those big, funny, kind of red noses. He's got a little bit of that going on. I don't know if I like that for him or not. Do I like that better than it was before? I think I do. I think it's more interesting as a design choice, and more interesting is better than less interesting. Usually. Usually that's the case. Things can be interesting in a bad way, I guess. A bit more variation in his nose. Maybe more red kind of up front. Some of that red again in his cheek area here. That warmth comes spreading from the center of his little face. Is that a little face? I don't know what I'm saying. It's fine. I'm getting some fall vibes here. His lips as well. getting in here with maybe some details on these lips here. Now it kind of looks like a worm. Okay, I don't love the way I did that. That's fine. We'll move away from that option. Yeah, and maybe his face is more of a flat plane than this like beard. I kind of want the beard to be a little bit more distinct from the face. Like we want to have the wrinkles, but we don't want it to be like that. Definitely giving fall vibes. And that makes his beard look a little more like a beard and not just part of his face, which is, I think, what I want. Sometimes it's, it's like you start moving in a direction on a piece and then you remember why it was the way it was before in the first place. We might start to have a little bit of that here. We'll see. I think it's fine. I think that was a fine choice. I think we'll go with that. Definitely looks a little friendlier now in the face area. But we may want to unify some of this warmer color that we brought in here a little bit more. And what do I mean by that? Well, bringing that a little bit more into some of these other areas. Maybe like at the end of his elbow here, even on his hands. Having a little bit more of that color running through. Again, we can afford to have some kind of like variation here, make it a little splotchy. Just because of the way we're working, and we can always go over it later. Not a big deal. It is making me think, does he need like a mushroom that has some of these more warm elements growing out of him or something? That would be kind of fun. Oops, I forgot I put his legs in a different layer. So I could safely like kind of go over them with his arm if his arm's hanging down, or if he has something like like hanging off of him. That we can easily go in that direction without going too crazy. I may want some of these elements that come hanging off. Okay, I mean, things are happening here. I don't totally mind. I've been zooming in and out a lot because it helps you kind of get an idea of like how does this piece look from a distance. I think we're gonna drop the background pretty dark. Let me see here. I just kind of want to get an idea of how that will look. So we're gonna do a multiply layer here. And I think maybe we gonna keep that warmth going a little bit. I want a little bit of warmth in the background. I'm just gonna darken this a little bit just so we can come back in later and kind of make elements that we need to pop, and then get a little more contrast so we can kind of figure out what's going on in the foreground more easily. But I like that. It certainly it feels like I turned up the saturation as well when I did that. I think because again there's more contrast here. So I like that. Oh, I put the rock in this layer too. That's fine. We'll figure out the rock later. We don't want to mess around with the rock too much. I don't. I was trying to like remember what was the rock's catchphrase. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? Yeah, the guy's kind of a freak, right? He's kind of a freakazoid now, right? I don't actually know. I just like the people who are like, oh yeah, the Rock. He's totally naturally that buff. Like now that he's in his like what 50s, and it's like yeah, he's a movie star. He probably does steroids or whatever. Who cares? But it's like the people who are like, no, he doesn't. He's all natural. He doesn't do any of that stuff. It's like, yeah, he does. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? He like looks more buff than he looked like in his prime, like now. So it seems pretty obvious that he's like he's juicing, which is his prerogative as a big time movie star. It's kind of weird that he has to lie about it. It's kind of crazy. Like, I know that there were people talking about The Rock running for president or something, and I'm like, yeah, like every day we get closer to the reality of idiocracy. I mean, we're already kind of there, right? We already had like a reality TV star as president, so that's pretty close to a pro wrestler as president. I don't think that movie is like particularly prescient about like why things are the way they are, but. But, there are certain elements of it that definitely made sense. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time, but I remember think we rented it. I think that was back during the days when we were still going to Blockbuster. We rented that movie. There was a Blockbuster down the road from our house. It's funny because we were watching Netflix last night, and now Netflix had, like, if you don't pay for like the super premium version or whatever, Netflix has ads now, right? And it's like, man, remember when you used to just like get Netflix like DVDs in the mail, and like we can't put ads on those. It's like somehow we're backtracking. It's like things that were cool are getting worse, and things that were bad are coming back. It's like now, like, how long is it before like all streaming services are just like regular cable again? Kind of a bummer. Kind of a bit of a bummer, but you know, is what it is. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do? Oh boy. Let's see. How much longer until I need to go and eat a snack? Until I need a little snacky poo. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe get my dog a snacky poo, me and my dog. Go out and get a snacky poo. I'm like saying this is, you know, like thinking he's going to run in here. But like a lot of times when it's just me and him at the house, he'll just sort of like lounge on the couch being sad that my wife is not here to cuddle with him. That's just, you know, the very, very difficult life of being a dog. He's just a sad boy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is turning into something. Do I love this piece? I started out really liking it, and now I'm not so sure. And when I say started out, I mean like not today, but like when I first began this piece. I find that with a lot of things, like especially with stuff where you really just dive in, the initial dive is typically not the best version of that piece, right? It often comes later. It's often like this, the best version of this thing is still kind of hiding in the ether, and you gotta go out and find it. Okay, how long have we been streaming today? Let me see here. Where does it say that? Oh, up there. Okay, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, I mean that's respectable. You know, I'm getting to the point where I think I need to do some thinking about this piece, and also eat some snacks, and also go to the bathroom. So I think we may as well just shut it down here, and we're going to go ahead and do that. But thanks for stopping by, those who did stop by. If you're watching this later, thanks for chilling, watching a little bit of Magic Arena content where I lost 90% of the games that I played. And then thanks for sticking around if you did for the painting portion. I definitely enjoyed working on this piece a little bit more, and hopefully we'll be able to get this out, get this finished in time to print it for the upcoming Comic-Cons I'm going to be at. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, all right. Well, have a good rest of your Thursday, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow because, again, I am going to be attempting to stream daily content for the foreseeable future. Or, you know, maybe not daily, but every other day at least. And we'll see how that goes. All right. Take care, folks.